Okay, folks, welcome to the future session. Hope everybody's doing well. Good afternoon, good morning, Brett, Brian, Carolyn. Hey, Ryan. We're going to start getting focused in now on the futures, and we're going to run through the fundamental principle. Now, today, the sort of fundamental mood out there is positive for equity markets. You can see that volatility has come lower from Friday's high. We've got the US equity futures gently bid. We've got Euro Stoxx DAX gently bid. China 50 a little bit lower. FTSE 100 gently bid off of highs at the moment. Now, there isn't anything really massively out there. It's just a sense of maybe some relief that Donald Trump has pulled back from those 50% tariffs he was threatening on Europe to close the end of last week for US holiday, UK holiday, and now just a bit of a relief. On Monday, you can see US equity futures was strongly bid. And if you look at the TPO on Monday, you can just see that that was just
remarks from China's Premier Li speaking in Malaysia at the moment. The scale of China's fiscal spending will reach a record high this year, he says.
Strong buying, throughout the session, P-shaped profile, value held up at this area. Now a lot more balanced. We can see prices try to move above the value area high from yesterday, currently struggling, and we've pulled back into this region. So there's an absence of key sort of drivers out there. Now, if you take a look at the calendar, we've got US consumer confidence coming up at 3. So what we really need to be aware of today is just sort of tariff headlines. The broad sort of sell America theme is still out there. It's just pulled back a little bit to start the week, and you can see, well, the first day of the week here in the UK, you can see the Dixie has moved higher. There isn't any particular catalyst. It's probably just flows, to be honest. So there isn't a whole lot out there in terms of sentiment. So we're going to be led by what's going on with the order flow. Taking a look at the E-mini, what we see is that price is pushed above the point of control on the weekly chart. We've moved into the value area high that's developing for this week, and we've pushed into this value area high from a previous week. You can see sellers, right, have got traps at this level, buyers pushing higher. We've had a pullback, and buyers are trying to build here at this level. So buying from this sort of point of control, daily value area does make sense. Sellers have come in and they have trapped some of these later buyers. So it's very much sort of 50-50 in terms of who's dominating the market. But you can see here, this is some dip buying that's being attempted. The rhythm has been strongly higher from the start of the session. If you look at this strong buying, it's faded a little bit as we've come into the start of the US session, and you can see that cumulative delta is starting to point higher, and buyers are trying to come in as well. So buyers are trying to trap these sellers. For now, sellers have managed to trap those buyers at the value area, and you can see that this is a key sort of value area high from Monday. Price trying to hold above it and struggling, but the cumulative delta is still pushing higher. If you look at the cumulative delta and the on-balance volume, you can see cumulative delta, on-balance volume now pushing higher, delta histogram now pushing higher. So buyers have gained a little bit of control here, and what we're looking for here is if we sort of see sellers getting trapped, particularly this level, that level, then that could be indicative of more prices as we come into the start of the US session. So the important areas for us to be looking at is obviously here. This is a very important area around this 5890 region. If you look at the TPO, any deeper pullback here, value area low from earlier in the session, watch for buyers there. Also watch for buyers to continue on breakout. Let me just change that spelling. We are in a strong kind of resistance area up here. So a kind of drop down there would make sense, a push and move lower. For now, I would expect it to eventually get there. But for now, Carolyn, what I'd expect is just this very near-term upside to dominate. When you've got 5-minute buyers have now trapped those sellers above this area, cumulative delta pushing up, and you can see the on-balance volume pushing up, cumulative delta pushing up. So for instance, like that, I can just buy that based on that and just put a stop underneath the VWAP, just see if that sort of lasts into the open. That's not unreasonable because you see cumulative delta pushing up, on-balance volume pushing up. We're holding above that daily VWAP. And let's just see how things develop as we head into the open. We've got sort of 23 minutes, but I wouldn't be surprised if that holds for now. Ultimately, a drop, sort of move up and a drop down, yes, that would make sense back towards Friday's close at that 5,800 region here. Absolutely. The other alternative, we can push up and push above, then we're carrying on the move higher. Yeah. Very nice, Najam. Najam saying looks like a 30-minute flag here. You're welcome, Carol. I think that is the right way to look at it, that you're looking at it, Carol, for sure. And I don't think Buy America, it's not like Buy America is back. It's probably a little bit of relief that the EU is not going to be hit with 50% tariffs. But, you know, how much is that going to last? So we'll see. We've got consumer confidence coming up at 3. So that can obviously impact markets significantly. Yeah, I'll take a look at that, Najim. Thank you.
ETF fund flows in blue, and we've got spot price in white. And you can see that that initial pop we had to the upside, the one that we sold into, that coincided with a continued push to the downside in ETF flows. Now, even this recent rip we've had in gold, it hasn't been supported by fund flows moving back in and scooping up these lows. So this isn't enough for me to want to short gold year again, because one of the key differentiators between now and the last time.
Thank you. I think remarks from Indian Finance Ministry says the imposition of reciprocal tariffs by the US, particularly the 26% tariff on Indian imports, has injected uncertainty into its export outlook. And it does note the FX reserves continue to provide a cushion against external shocks.
That's Arno. I know Arno well. Yeah. So he's talking about fund flows into gold. So he's looking at the SPDR Gold Trust. That's the largest gold ETF, isn't it? Yeah.
His implied volatility is very low. Last time we shorted this, implied vol pushed lower, but we still had some room to run lower. Now we're even lower on implied vols, which makes a short far less attractive. But the bottom line is, as long as ETF flows doesn't start picking up and moving higher, I would be very hesitant on joining the bandwagon on the long side. So that's just something important to keep in mind. So,
yeah, okay, yeah, I'll check that out later as well. I'll have a look at that in a bit more detail, Najam. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so looking at this 30-minute flag, this is very interesting what Najam's pointed out here. If you can just see, you've got this sharp rise, then you've got this pullback against the trend. Now that's a nice sharp pullback, sort of 45 degrees. So if we can break above this high here on volume, that'll be very attractive. So what we're looking for, you can see cumulative delta rising, on balance volume rising, and you can see buyers building up here, right? So what we want to see here is a strong breakout of this region.
Further news from the Indian Finance Ministry expects accelerated recovery to lift growth towards 6.3% up to 6.8%.
And if you get a strong breakout on that, you'd expect that to continue up higher, right? So just watching this region very carefully, you can see the flag pattern is lovely because it's sort of a nice sharp pullback against that and move higher, right? And if we can move up here, that does look like it wants to break into that next 59910 value area. So that's definitely something to look for. On the 5-minute, you can see you've got some buyers have trapped sellers here and here. So we've got some sellers trapped there. And you can see we're testing this key overhead trend line area here. Even as the cumulative delta is rising, and you can see buyers stepping in aggressively. And if you look on the tick chart, you can see that you're having more and more buyers stepping in. Just got to watch there isn't a deep pullback here, but otherwise cumulative delta rising, on balance volume rising, that does look attractive for a potential breakout that's coming. So we'll keep an eye on that. We've got 2 minutes to the close. What I'd like to see here is a close above that region. So a close above that region on the 15-minute chart would be very positive for buyers. Just got a couple of minutes. We'll just keep an eye on that and see if we get it. Got 1 more minute. Thanks, Najam. Good man. Yeah, okay. Let's have a look here. That's a near breakout, but not quite. It's just going to give that a bit more time. What we're looking for here as we come into the open is if we get, particularly if we get a price breaking above those 15-minute sellers, then we could look for a run up to the 5905. So that's what we're looking for as we head into the open. On the 5-minute, you can see that buyers are still trapped there. Nice. Sellers have been trapped by buyers. And you can see cumulative delta pushing up. Just look on the tick chart, let's see what's going on. Buyers still coming in, cumulative delta pushing up, on balance volume pushing up. So buyers still have the front foot here, right? So on balance volume flattening, but still we're pointing higher. So we'll just keep an eye on this, looking for that potential breakout. 13 minutes to the open, on balance volume still pushing higher, cumulative delta pushing higher. Remember on the hourly chart here, dip buyers make sense because we're trying to hold above this value area, developing value area high for the week. We can see that the cumulative delta is positive and pushing higher. We've had a test of the daily VWAP and the weekly point of control, and we're trying to find dip buying off this area. And on top of that, we're seeing that cumulative delta is pushing higher. So that's all indicative of further upside. Just keep an eye on what's going on in the tick charts to see if we see any slowdown of this or any acceleration of it. Okay, let's have a look at it on the 5-minute. This is clearly trying to break out now on the 5. Let's have a look. We've broken above that trend line, cumulative delta pushing up, on balance volume still pushing up, cumulative delta pushing up. There's clearly an attempt at a breakout here. Now this will be important here. If we take out those sellers here, that could be an acceleration to the upside on this. These buyers are able to take out these sellers here at the 5,900. So big place coming up. Is that on the gold chart, Najam, from Arno? Oh, yeah, the asset supply volatility. Yes, I think that's right, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, we've had an attempt at breaking out here with these sellers up here, and that's sort of pulling back a little bit. Let's have a look at this. Oh, nice, Najam. We're going to try and get some more data with Financial Source, try and get the implied volatility levels, try to get it clearer with the hedge fund positioning, just try to make it more user-friendly. Right now, this is looking weaker, isn't it? So you've got some sellers coming in now, trying to trap some of these buyers. So just keep an eye on this. So, okay, folks. What we're looking at today was looking for opportunities to go long. Looking at the TPO, we're looking for buyers down here and potentially buyers on a breakout if we can get above that level, about the 5896. So as we came into the session, first of all, trying to get long a couple of times, had a couple of longs, early longs here as we head into the open, took that off for a loss, then had a second long, took that off for a loss, and then finally built in for the longs when I finally got a decent signal using just a 1-minute chart, just seeing delta was positive, had some sellers, 1-minute sellers getting trapped down at this buying region, and then built in as sellers were getting trapped. So sellers trapped, built in, sellers trapped, built in, sellers trapped here, built in, and then took it all off around the VWAP. That was it's about a $1,300, $400 move. So that put me in positive for the day on that account. Then trying to go long again. The most successful attempt was this earlier attempt around 3 o'clock, just as you can see the cumulative delta pushing up, buyers stepping in, trapping sellers, and then building in a few positions in exactly the same reason, using the tick chart just to find trapped sellers as we moved up. And as we moved up, entering extra longs as sellers got trapped, then took it off up at those highs as soon as we saw a bit of weakness in the delta. All right, folks, that is all for today. Scheduled to be back tomorrow, and take care and look forward to seeing you.